This video is brought to you by Recollection, an original animated series I'm producing with my friends. Stay tuned at the end of the video to learn more about it.
Do you find yourself constantly lacking energy? Feel like you have too many decisions every day? Introducing Phazon, the #1 goofy solution to all of your life's problems. With just a small dosage of this delicious goop is enough to remedy all issues. Use its radiation to charge any of your devices, or even strengthen your own body. And why bother making tough decisions when you can let it make them for you? Feeling lonely? Phazon can create nightmarish abominations to keep you company, or even make your imaginary friends come to life, and even convince people to become your friends.
I used to be a cool guy before Phazon, but now I've given my free will and loads of radiation sickness, I'm even cooler.
Phazon Goop, your one-step solution to any problem.
Originating from a distant planet, Phazon emerges as a radioactive substance shrouded in mystery. Its extraordinary ability to mutate creatures and generate potent energy distinguishes it as a unique entity in the Metroid universe. Termed Phazon by the space pirates and dubbed the Great Poison by the Chosen Talent 4, this inimacted substance appears as a regular mineral before revealing its organic behavior, swiftly engulfing planets and consuming everything. Central to the Metroid Prime trilogy, Phazon embodies a malevolent force, showcasing a multitude of applications and destructive capabilities. While searching for new energy sources, the space pirates noticed significant radiation emissions from planet Talent 4, leading them to discover Phazon. Decades ago, a Leviathan meteor strike spread the mineral across the surface, which the pirates mined to conduct studies and experiments, spawning programs like Project Titan and Project Helix. These initiatives aimed to use Phazon to strengthen their forces, resulting in the creation of the elite pirates and the formidable Omega Pirate. At the heart of this infestation lurked the Metroid Prime, a menacing organism generating the poison and safeguarding the Leviathan. Before its demise, the creature stole Samus' Phazon suit, unleashing a more malicious force in the process. This wasn't an isolated event, as similar signs of radiation stemmed from planet Aether, hinting at its contamination. However, attempts by the pirates to mine Phazon yielded minimal results, revealing that the readings were detecting the substance on an alternate dimension. The collision of a Leviathan with Aether induced a rift, spawning Dark Aether and its malevolent creatures, which thwarted the pirates' harvest. What little they managed to collect will later fall prey to Dark Samus, an enigmatic entity fueled by Phazon. The situation would only exacerbate once Samus arrived on the planet. As Leviathan meteors invaded the Galactic Federation system, the conflict escalated. Unknowingly transporting Dark Samus' particles within their stolen Phazon cargo, the pirates inadvertently empower their adversary, allowing her to control their minds. She intends to spread this corruption across the universe, going as far as to personally infect Samus with a unique strand to ensure nothing could stand in her way. Thanks to this, Samus could generate her own supply of Phazon to enhance her abilities, yet this came at the cost of her body slowly falling to the Phazon's infection. The only way to rid herself of this crisis was by destroying planet Phaze, the source of all Phazon, thus eradicating its curse, a fact that is later confirmed by the opening of Federation Force. Despite its brief appearance, Phazon's mysterious origins, diverse application, and unsettling abilities resonated with players, creating for some of the most iconic adversaries and encounters in the series. What made Dark Samus so beloved by fans wasn't just her concept, but rather the fact that she served as a secondary threat, revealing little of her motivations before becoming the finale's villain, demonstrating Phazon's ultimate abilities. This was accentuated by the fact that the only way to gain a glimpse of her in the first place was by fully completing the game, giving her an air of mystery while showing us a glimpse of the other horrors the mineral was capable of. This substance is potent and versatile, making it a coveted energy source, yet its radiation is fatal to most life forms, including Samus in her gravity suit. Prolonged exposure to it leads to drastic mutations and mental deterioration, highlighting the substance's perilous nature. Its unique effects allow it to spawn a variety of deadly beasts, or even grant life to otherwise inanimate objects. Though the creatures it creates are fascinating, I've always been more intrigued by those mutated by Phazon. The way it changes their physical form and warps their mentality made for a scary scenario that felt refreshing to the series. It made me actively seek out the scanlogs to learn more about who these beings or people once were, adding to their downfall and making them rather memorable. Yet I'd argue that the most terrifying thing to come from this infestation was the creation of dark aether and its hostile ecosystem. The Ing Horde perfectly showcased every dreadful quality the material was capable of as they began consuming everything in their path, coming close to destroying the Luminov's homeworld while also being able to take over the minds and bodies of others. Though the Ing aren't necessarily made out of Phazon in the same way as Dark Samus per se, they resemble creatures found on Phaze. This explains their supposed immunity to the substance, but also reminds us that they originally hail from this planet in some way. Though countless creatures have spawned from Phazon, the Leviathan seeds have always been the most fascinating. These are basically living meteors, complete with their own life cycle in biology and the singular purpose of spreading the corruption to other planets. The interiors of these meteors always intrigued me. Their environmental design and the myriads of creatures seen inside made the Leviathans feel like a superorganism, almost as if it was carrying a part of Phaze or unleashing its own microbiome to scatter on their crash sites. That aspect of Phazon made it a splendid story element, since it's not a regular creature or faction we had to annihilate, but an unknown natural element. The full extent of its abilities was slowly unraveled with each game, showing us how alive it was and the monstrosities it could unleash. The sequels gave us the hindsight necessary to truly understand the full extent of what befell the Chozo on Talon 4. And why this was a poison that needed to be stopped at all costs. This sold Phazon as a cosmic horror entity, as we didn't comprehend the extent of its abilities or where it came from. A life form with an unquenchable appetite that consumed anything around it. This story element is further enhanced once you consider that Planet Phaze is a sentient being, as some scanlogs state that the planet has some form of intelligence, as though implying that it actively searches for other planets to infect with its Leviathans every 100 years. It can be considered a giant organism comprised of Phazon, who, like any other living being, is trying to ensure its own survival. In a sense, the planet can be considered to be the main antagonist of the Metroid Prime trilogy. Phaze was first discovered almost by accident by the Chozos on Elysia, as one of their lost probes began broadcasting information on the planet, and the data they received was enough to discern that it was somehow alive. Sadly, the information was mysteriously lost, and given that Phaze is so far away, it was next to impossible to send another probe to continue an examination. The only reliable way to reach the planet is through the wormholes created by its Leviathans, allowing Phaze to remain undetected from many. The quantity of radiation produced by the planet is practically enough to corrupt anything on the spot, as seen with Samus when she arrives on the surface and is forced to stay in hyper mode to expel the Phazon from her body to survive. The effects are so severe that her gunship no longer recognizes her. The best aspect of this visit is the opportunity to see the variety of flora and fauna unique to the region, some of which resembles the ones we saw in earlier titles. And the closer we approach the core, the deadlier the wildlife we encounter. A grim reminder of the hostility that spawns from this evil world, masterfully capturing that ominous feeling of traversing into the belly of the beast. Oh, and before I forget, the skybox for this area has a constellation that is intentionally designed to resemble a Metroid. A little neat hidden detail by the developers. Normally, Phazon takes the shape of a crystal-like solid, spreading itself through a web of tendrils, with its purer form showing a gel-like or liquid form, both of which can serve practical functions. The solid form can be used to create phazite to strengthen defenses or create armor, and the liquid form can be channeled through weapons as devastating projectiles. The rare variants like black Phazon crystals and red Phazon accentuate its mutagenic properties and unstable nature. The crystals are used by the pirates to create different armor plating for their troops, while the red one is a mutation only found in Talon 4 with mysterious origins, with many believing it to be a special reaction to the planet's unique properties or a result of high levels of concentrated radiation from its entrapment in the impact crater. So until we get a concrete answer, I'm adding this to the list of things best explained with burnt magic. Or, well, I guess we can blame this one on goop sorcery instead. Throughout the Prime trilogy, Samus was able to harness Phazon's powers through a variety of power-ups. This includes the Phazon suit, which by becoming overloaded by it, grants Samus immunity to the substance and allows her to use the Phazon beam under the right circumstances. These abilities would later become accessible to others through the Phazon Enhancement Device, or PED for short, which enhances their armor by channeling the ore through it in a state known as Hyper Mode, where the user becomes near invincible and gains access to the destructive force of the Phazon beam. Though this technology was designed by the space pirates, the Galactic Federation created their own version with a few changes that kept their users safe from cases of Phazon sickness, such as implementing an auto-vent function that ends hyper mode after 25 seconds. This feature would sadly not keep Samus and the other bounty hunters safe, since they were infected with a unique strand of Phazon that allowed their bodies to generate it. So every time they engaged hyper mode, it caused the strand inside their body to overreact, accelerating its spread and ultimately making them fall under Dark Samus's control. Thanks to the unique strands inside her, Samus can heal herself by coming into contact with the bodies of Phazon, yet is still vulnerable to corruption if she stays in hyper mode for too long, a fact the pirates used to their advantage with the use of some custom grenades. Other Phazon weaponry includes the Hyper Ball, which expels radiation onto nearby targets, the Hyper Missile, which launches a potent projectile at high speeds, the extremely situational Hyper Grapple, which lets its user either siphon or give energy to specific targets, and I guess, in theory, one could also consider some of the Luminov's Dark Light of items to be somewhat related to Phazon, given that it's based around Dark Aether's energy. Phazon hasn't seen that many direct cameos in other games, aside from Super Smash Bros., of course. Brawl had trophies of the Parasite Queen, Dark Samus, and both forms of Metroid Prime, and it introduced the Frigate Orpheon stage where the mineral could be found. Smash 4 had Dark Samus as an assist trophy, before she became an Echo Fighter in Smash Ultimate, where she sadly lost all of her cool Phazon attacks for some reason. The Gandrada Spirit Battle pits you against a Pikachu to represent her electric properties, and a Dark Samus to represent her fall to the Phazon corruption. And lastly, Palutena's Guidance in Smash Ultimate also mentions the substance.
The monkeys never should have messed with the stuff, but they insisted and it blew up in their faces.
Though there are many substances with similar properties to Phazon in other media, I was always intrigued by how much this mineral resembles elements found in the Dune series that I quickly wanted to go over. Not that this is an actual inspiration to the game or anything, but Dune is such an influential book in sci-fi that I feel like mentioning a few similarities with Metroid while I'm at it. I am also a huge fan of this series and constantly obsess over it due to my powerful brain rot, so I wanted to take a quick opportunity to talk about something else I'm passionate about. In the universe of Dune, great houses compete for control over a substance known as the spice or melange. This drug-like substance can prolong lives and even confer new abilities with enough exposure. This can be seen with the Mentats and their abilities for countless calculations, or the Spacing Guild's navigators who can fold space to create safe passage among the stars. Spice has become quintessential for the lives of humans in this universe, with those addicted to it gaining blue within blue eyes. However, the melange is only produced on the desert planet Arrakis, where the harsh climate makes its harvest difficult. Conflicts escalates as the houses try to keep their firm grasp on the melange, from control over the spice is control over all. Needless to say, this reflects Phazon's ability to mutate beings with its radiation, its scarcity from it being native to only one remote planet with a conflict over its control, while also sharing the blue-colored eyes as a sign of those becoming addicted to it. The similarities don't stop there, as the spice happens to be created by the Shai Hulud, the giant sandworms of Arrakis, who, when drowned, excrete a poisonous blue liquid known as the Water of Life. This liquid is used by the Bene Gesserit to perform a ritual and ascend to the status of Reverend Mothers, where those who endure the spice agony will find themselves awakening to new abilities and changes in their perception of reality. This echoes how the Chozo on Talon 4 referred to the creature inside the impact crater simply as the Worm, who was the one producing Phazon on the planet, and that those who survive the harsh exposure to the mineral will have their perception warped by its corruption. Phazon left a huge impression on players thanks to its varied applications in the story and gameplay mechanics. It stood out from the other threats by practically lurking in the shadows of other evils, revealing its true colors at the opportune moments, making for a fun narrative since the focus was on the battle over its control, not knowing that Phazon had a will of its own. It kept us guessing its true abilities or potential, placing Samus in a new sense of weakness against threats no one could be prepared to face, creating exciting scenarios to overcome and memorable villains to defeat. Phazon's enduring legacy lies in its multifaceted narrative contributions and gameplay mechanics. Its abstract threat and narrative complexities ensured a memorable presence, setting a standard for future game antagonists. Despite its eradication, Phazon's corruption left a significant mark on players that will surely last for years to come. Now, before ending the video, I just wanted to quickly mention that I have launched a Kickstarter campaign to hopefully produce a pilot episode for an original animated series I've been developing for a while now, titled Recollection. A sci-fi action-adventure series set in a world plunged into war, after an unknown event known only as the Calamity placed it in a state of accelerated decay, and where a reserved traveler is trying to unravel the mystery behind her ominous dreams and rediscover her past. This is one of many passion projects I've been developing over the past years, taking extra care in creating a world and journey that can be intriguing for our audience to follow and satisfying to see all the way through. You all know my love for immersive worlds and finer details that aid to storytelling, so it's an element I have carefully implemented into the narrative. As you might expect, this is the reason behind my irregular upload schedule. I've been focusing most of my free time and resources on producing original projects that fill my creative drive and can deliver a world and story worthy of your investment. If we received but a small contribution from everyone subscribed, we would have enough to get our project off the ground and start working. You can find more detailed information about our campaign through the links in the description, and we would really appreciate any help with spreading the word through social media. Simply leaving a like on this video also does wonders, since it's the only way to convince the algorithm to promote our content. Our goal has always been to bring joy to people around the world through the stories we want to tell, and with your help, we hope we can make this dream of ours a reality. With all that said, thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video or stream.